Jonny, can I start by asking you about what your inspiration was behind this piece? What's the kind of nugget or image that you've taken and run with?
It was mostly the history of the concert orchestra, the idea of a music library full of all this stuff that was written to be played once and then discarded and or lost. And that was the starting point, really.
Have you ever been to the music library?
No, never. I get the feeling it's going to be slightly disappointing. So,
how do you imagine it, though?
Just lots of old scores lying around for, radio shows from the 40s and 50s that haven't been heard since. And, yeah, that's how I imagine it.
And have you written in any tunes that would take us to the 40s and 50s, or did you just use it as a sort of point of departure?
Yeah, I just thought a lot about the texture of the music and how it would sound, because it was pretty much the last period when music was being written on paper and getting destroyed over time.
And where did the title Doghouse come from?
It's mostly just from a pattern on the It's a Long Story. It's a lot of the music is quite symmetrical, and I was once told when I was a kid that the way to remember where D was on a piano is it's a dog living in a house, and and everything seems to be kind of falling around there. That's one of the reasons, but anyway, that's the polite reason.
Robert, you've been really closely involved. Tell us about your part in this process.
Well, I sort of just liaised between Jonny and the orchestra, and answered questions where I could about how best to write for orchestra, make suggestions about what to do, and then together we put together this program with suggestions, about what was in the concert orchestra repertoire, what represented, what they do, which is sort of evidenced by this program, which is a bit of everything.
The other really striking thing about this piece, there are 3 stands here, and we'll hear 3 soloists, violin, viola, cello. Jonny, how did you conceive of these soloists? Is it a concerto for you, for 3 soloists, or are they very much part of the orchestra?
There's partly 3 of them because I didn't have the nerve to write for a solo instrument, a real concerto. And also I was just interested in, taking members of the orchestra itself and treating them as soloists, because they all play so well. We did a recording for this film with this orchestra last week, and the horn player took a solo, and that was amazing too. And you realise that they're all soloists, really.
And there are 5 movements, although the whole thing runs as one, and they also have wonderful titles. I don't know whether you're going to want to talk about them or whether there are hidden messages behind the titles, but they're really wonderful. San Antonio Slide, 1/8 Figures, Quartertone Bloom, Sokolov.
Right. Mostly from where they were written and to remind me of how they sounded. Pretty much just working titles.
Robert, can you take us through the character of those 5 movements as we hear them?
Well, the San Antonio Slide, it has a real kind of theme that turns around on itself and sort of builds up. What's the second one? Sorry, I forgot.
The second one is 1/8 Figures.
1/8 Figures. That's a kind of trill, a kind of sound effect that Jonny devised that we used actually in the first piece he wrote for the orchestra, which was called Popcorn Superhet Receiver, which was just for strings. The Quartertone Bloom has a lot of chordatones in it, as you might expect. Sokolov is a hugely virtuosic for the soloists, hugely. And then San Antonio Slide, the finale bit, sort of borrows a kind of similar character from the first movement. But the great thing about these 2 pieces also is that through the commission of the piece, when he was in the process of writing the first one and the second one, he was approached for a film score and said, well, this is what I'm working on at the moment. So the first one became the score for There Will Be Blood, and then this one is for a new film about to come out called Norwegian Wood. I'm not giving anything away there.
No, I think that's the plan, yeah.
Well, we look forward to hearing it in the cinema and now the world premiere. So I'll let you both get back to your places. Thank you very much indeed.
You.
So, for the world premiere of Doghouse by Jonny Greenwood, please welcome on stage the 3 soloists, the violinist Charles Mutter, violist Timothy Welch, and the cellist Benjamin Hughes.